decided to buy the Hamilton Tiger Cats football organization. You spoke a bit about your brother and his influence on this decision, but can you tell us why you decided to buy this team?
Well, my wife is still asking me that question to this very day. First, you have to understand that I was not much of an athlete. In fact, I was a very bad athlete. And my football career ended when I was about 14, and I realized I was born with 2 left feet. And no, I was not going to play for the Tiger Cats. Besides being a bad athlete, I was an even worse student. I was a world-class daydreamer. I could start a daydream on Monday morning, and I'd be working on the same dream by Friday afternoon. So I came out of college with this transcript that couldn't get me a job anywhere. So I started my own company, not because I aspired to be, as a brave guy trying to start a new company, but because trying to get a job was a high-risk activity for me, whereas starting a company was a low-risk activity. And of course, when you start a company, who do you give your business card to? Well, you don't have any customers, so you can't give it to a customer. You don't have any suppliers. You give your business card to your mother. And your mother goes from worrying about her idiot youngest child to being very proud of him because now he's president of his own company. Of course, it's a company without customers, without revenue, without anything else. But it did serve the purpose of cheering my mother up. So from when I started my first business, I actually started a couple little businesses in the computer leasing and finance space. Long story, I'm unemployed now, sitting in my wife's sewing closet in Connecticut, where I'd moved down at that time to try and grow the little computer rental business. And I stumbled into this open source software phenomenon, and I was one of the few people who saw this as a valuable tool for all the engineers, because prior to open source software, all software was closed and proprietary. And in the age of the internet, being able to share your software and being able to have access to the source code, not just the binaries, was of great value to the engineers who were trying to build out the internet. And that concept became Red Hat, and Red Hat did astoundingly well. In 1999, we went public at the top of the dot-com bubble. And my brother Michael and various other family members had put a little bit of money into Red Hat, and they made some money. And unfortunately, my brother Michael, who was this huge Tiger Cat fan, passed away from melanoma cancer in 2002. And my brother David and I were the only heirs he wasn't married and didn't have kids, so we ended up inheriting his money. And we both didn't need his money, so we were sort of saying, what do we do to honor Michael's memory? But I had no idea what to do, except that in 2003, literally the same day that the estate settled and I came into all this money from Michael's estate, I get a note from a friend in Hamilton saying, to the link to the Spectator story about the Hamilton Tiger Cats going bankrupt. And I couldn't let my older brother pass away and his favorite football team pass away at the same time. And so that's what prompted me to get involved in my hometown football team. I don't think of myself as the owner of the team. I know other people do, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats existed for 100 years before I got involved. And it's my mission to ensure they exist for 100 years after I'm able to be involved any longer. And it's interesting, the Grey Cup is a destination on a journey. The Grey Cup wasn't, it was a fun game, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was much better going to the Grey Cup than not going to the Grey Cup. All of that is true. But my highlights every year are not going to the Grey Cup. They're not even winning or losing football games. My highlights are sitting in the stands with some family and just seeing the game through their eyes and having them, thank this organization for what it does gives me so much more satisfaction than our wins and losses.
Can you tell us about growing up in the city and what the city means to you?
Well, yeah, it means sort of something different to all of us, but I think the one common theme to most of us is, unlike some other cities that will remain nameless, Hamilton's very much a blue-collar town. And the guys in these other cities that will remain nameless, they think that's a bad thing, and we think it's a very good thing. Because when you think about it, what does that stand for? And it stands for hardworking people with very fundamental values. We care about our families. We care about our neighbors. We're not glitzy. We care about creating value. We don't care about getting rich. If you can create enough value, you may make some money. But the point is, make the world a better place. Stay focused on that. Everything else in your life will work out.